John Steenhuisen has also cast his ballot in Durban. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Mr. Steenhuisen, I am seeking clarity in reference to Samkele's question about coalitions. You said that you are open to coalitions with the parties you've signed agreements with. We know that the ANC is not one of those parties.
Correct.
I'm saying that any coalition with the ANC.
Correct. Well, what I've said very clearly is I don't think we're going to solve the problems of South Africa by keeping the same people around the same table, making the same bad decisions with the same bad results for South Africa. And I think this morning you've got a great juxtaposition. Just before me, Sabu Ndebele, the former premier of this province, came to vote. This is a man who's facing corruption and maladministration charges from his time as the transport minister in this country. He is still, obviously wanting to see justice in this case and to see him charged properly. But isn't that an incredible juxtaposition that he is quite proudly able to come and don an ANC t-shirt and vote in front of the cameras, despite the fact that he joins 97 other of his comrades and colleagues who have been found by the Zondo Commission to have been involved in alleged corruption, maladministration and jobs for pals that have crippled our country. So I don't think keeping those people around the cabinet table is going to solve the problems facing South Africa, which is why I fundamentally believe that residents in this election need to vote for change, and they need to vote for a clean, accountable government, and that can only come through the multi-party charter and its allies. There are other parties that are not currently part of the multi-party charter. It remains to be seen how they do in this election. But if the multi-party charter doesn't get over the 50% plus one mark, we will talk to other parties that are not part of the charter to see what can be done to prevent a doomsday coalition between the ANC and the EFF taking place, or instability and chaos. And I think that, as I said, the DA is ready to play its responsible part as an anchor tenant in an alternative government that will deliver for the people and not for the politicians.
Mr. Steenhuisen, under the leadership of a DA government in a coalition, what are the very first things on a national level that needs to be addressed in this country?
The first thing needs to be done is to open up and break the government monopoly on electricity generation and supply. You cannot grow an economy, you cannot create jobs, you cannot build a better life for people without electricity. And then a major focus on infrastructure to ensure that our infrastructure is able to facilitate growth. Our road network is in destruction, our rail network has been destroyed, our ports and harbours are destroyed and inefficient and ineffective, and that is holding back economic growth. Thirdly, we would introduce a new bill that would bring in the scorpions so that we could start going after the corrupt, and we will start with the 97 people who are named in the Zondo Commission report to have a multidisciplinary task team to go after them, to make sure that they are prosecuted and thereby setting an example. And then within the first 100 days we're ready to table the end cadre deployment bill in Parliament that will bring to an end for any political party the prospect of being able to deploy people into key positions that are loyal only to the party and not to the people, and are deployed based on know who, not know how, because we need to have a stable, honest, effective public service to be able to deliver to the people of South Africa. You can have the best policies, the best plans. If you don't have a public service that is fit for purpose and able to implement those, you don't have a chance in hell of getting your policy.
Mr. Steenhuisen, how are you faring in the Western Cape, knowing that some have predicted that the DA may be dropping within that particular province as well?
I look forward to baking a whole lot of humble pies for some analysts after this election about the Western Cape. I'm confident there that the people of the Western Cape will reward the DA for its excellent stewardship of the economy, clean, accountable government, keeping people safe through the law enforcement advancement program that's arrested 27,000 criminals in the past year. They will reward the Western Cape government for the 360,000 new jobs that were created in the Western Cape over the last year. And I think they'll reward the DA governments there for the 120 billion investment now in infrastructure over the next 10 years, where 75% of that budget is going to be ploughed into the Kailichas, the Guguletus, the Langas and Inyangas of the world. There's just too much at stake, I think, for the people of the Western Cape to throw away their votes and throw away a good government.
How have you been
that all-important youth vote, of course, across the board, political parties were eyeing that. Just from what you've seen anecdotally today, from what you're hearing on the ground, are you pleased with the young voter turnout?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I'm very pleased with the young voter registration as well. I think that young people are realizing more and more that they may not be interested in politics, but it's been very interested in them. It's eating up their NSFAS money. It's destroying their ability to be able to start a small business and their entrepreneurial efforts. It is holding them back from being able to find work in an economy that's not growing. If you don't fix the politics, you can't fix any of those things. And I think young people have come to the fore in this election, certainly in the registration and certainly in the voter queues that we see here today.
John, you are talking about the chaos, you're presenting the chaos. What chaos maybe are you worried about?
In terms of?
In terms of if you of coalition.
Well, I'd hate to see a situation at a national level like what you see in Johannesburg, where there's been a massive over-fragmentation of the vote, where you have 18 parties, 11 of which have less than 1% of the vote.